Hello, guys. Good to see you all.
Mr. Jones, how are you today?
Doing well. Actually, a little under the weather. I got like a stomach bug or something going on right now. But
That's not good. I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, I'll be all right.
Can you tell me, is it a little bit bittersweet being here, having the UFC be here in Buffalo, not far from where you grew up, and knowing that you can't fight on a card here in New York yet?
No, I won't say it's bittersweet. It's just sweet. It's good to be here. Glad to be here in Buffalo, upstate New York. Got plans of going to visit my parents after this and stuff like that. Just being here around a New York State fan base is great. The energy's been great. The love has been awesome. Just glad to be here.
You had a lot to do with the push, in past years of getting here to New York, and all of a sudden, I mean, geez, they're in New York like, what, 4 or 5 times in the past 4 or 5 months already?
Yeah, there's been a lot of activity here in New York. It's great to see. I knew this day would come eventually, and now we're here. As you
start to creep a little bit closer to being reinstated, can you kind of clue us in on how you've been handling the time off and sort of the anticipation of being able to get back in there in the next 4 months?
Yeah, the time off has been great. I think you don't really appreciate what you have till you don't have it anymore. So this last year has given me a lot of time to just realize how great my life was and how bad I want it back. I've spent a lot of time just with my family and just training, doing a whole bunch of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and I feel great. I feel well preserved, well rested, and ready to get back to kicking ass.
At this point, do you expect to come back to a title shot right away, or is it just going to be whatever Dana and those guys want as you hit the end of June, beginning of July?
Yeah, I have no expectations right now. I haven't really spoken to the UFC about any possible fights or matchups. I'm just doing my part by just remaining ready to go, pretty much.
And then finally, will you be there on Saturday night watching Cage Side? And then have you thought through about what that'll feel like to watch those guys fighting for the belt that you once had? And is that going to be a weird moment for you? Is it going to make you hungry? How is that going to make you feel?
I will be there Saturday night, front and center, watching the fight. And I haven't really thought about how I'll feel. I'm sure I'll be pumped up afterwards and just majorly motivated and inspired to get back in the gym and get back, what's mine.
John, do you hear DC's comment yesterday when he said you're not welcome back into his octagon if you show up there tomorrow?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it for myself. I think he said something like, if I came into the octagon, it won't be pretty or something like that. I should just see what he meant by that. Maybe go in there. But yeah, I have no intentions on going in there harassing the guy. I want him to enjoy his moment, his last moments with the belt.
Hey John, being in Buffalo, were you able to check in any of the sites, take care of the famous chicken wings or anything like that?
That's funny. I have been eating a lot of chicken since I've been here. A lot of barbecue chicken and stuff like that. I haven't really got to see any sites though. We went to the mall last night, did some shopping with my fiance, and I may be going to see Niagara Falls here within the next day or so.
Final question is, which fights are you looking forward to the most, other than the DC Rumble? Any other fights you're most interested in?
Gegard and Chris Weidman, that's going to be great to see. Just a great contrast of styles and two very experienced fighters. That's really exciting. That's probably the
Hey Jones,
fight I'm most excited to see. Yeah.
any comments about the weird waiting in the morning?
About the weigh-in?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was absolutely nuts. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I mean, I watched the guy. If you focus on his hands, you can see him looking down and balancing out his weight just right to make 205. It's what a clever trick. Very dishonest of him. The crazy thing is that it was allowed to happen. I mean, I would imagine there has to be some type of commission or something to go back and see this blatant foul play and address it. No one's addressed it. They just completely got away with doing one of the dirtiest things I've seen in sports. So, yeah.
DC said yesterday that he doesn't buy your defense that you made in terms of why you failed the drug test and branded you a cheater. Are you worried that could be something that hangs over your head throughout your career, or do you think that's just his opinion?
I think it's his opinion. I think deep down he knows that I didn't cheat. Same with, I think Jimi Manuwa just recently came out and said that I was a cheater as well, which I am not. I am not. I've never cheated this sport. Every ounce of my success has been, hard work, dedication, focus, and a lot of God's grace. So, yeah, I've never cheated the sport. I'm not worried about it following me forever because I believe that the fans see what happened in the situation, and for people who aren't aware of the situation, it's well documented. Exactly how it happened, and we're dealing with some really smart people with USADA and their lawyers and things like that, if I had cheated, there would have been a much more strict punishment. I got the minimum because I was proven innocent, so I'm not too worried about it.
John, right over here.
Hey.
John Worrell with the Associated Press. You talked about how appreciating what you had until you don't have it anymore.
Right.
To go back to your last news conference, you were very emotional, and just what have you learned and what have you come to appreciate about this sport that you have lost, given the fact you've only fought like 3 times in since 4 years?
Yeah. Once in the last 2 years. Since I've been gone, I really had the opportunity to look at my career from a fan perspective almost, instead of being in it. And I just realized how special of a career that I have had, and how incredibly hard of a career I've had. I think my resume, I've beaten some of the toughest guys in our sports history. All the endorsements that I've had and all the things that I've lost, it just, it really hits you when you don't have a lot of this stuff. It really hits you. Not only does it make you realize how much work you've put in to get that, and it makes you realize how much hard work it's going to take to get that stuff back. It's hard to answer this question, but yeah, I don't know, kind of getting choked up on words, I guess. But yeah, I just realized that I had a lot, and it hurts to not have it, and I know how much work it's going to take to get it back. I'm just more grateful now for the things I've been able to accomplish than I was back when I was accomplished.
Hey John, right here. After everything went down last summer, you didn't do any media, and then you went on Joe Rogan's podcast. Why did you pick Joe as sort of your first interview to come back to, and what was the feedback like after you went on?
I picked Joe Rogan because I wanted to do an interview with someone who was MMA savvy, but also had a fan base that was more than an MMA audience, and it was a great call because I've met a lot of fans since then who don't watch UFC at all, who are just big fans of Joe Rogan, and so it was a great exposure. I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions, and I just felt like Joe would be a great guy to get it all out and open with. I think the arc of the interview was about an hour and a half long or something like that, and me and Joe have always been able to just have a very flowing, easy dialogue, and I knew he'd also ask the interesting questions. That's just what type of guy he was. So I'm glad I did it, and there was the reaction by the fans was great. A lot of people just said it feels good to see you not hiding anything and just putting it all out there, and just being so upfront and honest. It was a great feeling. My publicist didn't like it too much, but as we look back on it, it was a great thing to do. Just let it all out.
And I know you said July is when you want to go back. It would make the most sense for you to fight the winner of tomorrow night. In July, an international fight would be great. You've done some submission grappling. Is there any plans to do that in between, maybe the fight in July?
I have a really good relationship with the guys at Flow Grappling. Had a really awesome showing against Dan Henderson, a guy that I've always wanted to compete against, and finally had the opportunity. And I'm definitely not counting out future submission matches against the right opponent, of course.
Hey, John, over this way. to your right. So at the pinnacle of his athletic prowess, Muhammad Ali had to sit out a couple of years due to his political views. You've had one fight in 2 years, 2 fights in 4 years, just about that much. Ali in the gym knew that he had to change some things in his offensive tool set. Has there been anything in the gym that you feel that you have to change because you've been away for so long?
No, I think everything happens for a reason, I've worked extensively on my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu, and I'm assuming sooner or later I'm going to be fighting Anthony Johnson or Jimi Manuwa. These are guys who are phenomenal strikers, and I've striked with the best of them, and I've always excelled. But I think a smarter strategy in those type of fights would be to get those guys to the ground and put them in a world of hurt. And there's no secret that when those fights happen, that will be my strategy. And the time that I've put in, I felt like not only have I been preserved my body, no concussions, no injuries over the last 2 years. I've just put so much work into jiu-jitsu, and I think this was just a part of like a greater plan or something. Just to take this time away and to work on that category of the sport, something that I neglected in the past. I used to never want to do jiu-jitsu practice, and somehow I have the most submissions in light heavyweight history in the UFC. So now I'm just excited to see what it would be like when I get back into the game after I've put so much time in this category. I believe I'll be submitting the shit out of a lot of people. So yeah.
John, just back here, you said on the Joe Rogan podcast you were living a big party lifestyle, just down here at the back.
Okay.
And now that obviously everything has changed for you, like what has been the biggest change in your life over the last 12 to 24 months now that everything that came to the fray, now that you're trying to change, everything's...
Yeah, the biggest changes in my life, just awareness, just my awareness. I used to do a lot of dumb shit, a lot, and I just took so much for granted. And now I realize how easy it is to find yourself on the wrong track or around the wrong people or just in trouble, So I feel my decision-making skills has increased tremendously. I do a lot more thinking before I act out of decisions. So I just feel like I've matured a lot and just a lot more aware of who I am too. Like I just can't afford to do shit. People love to hear some John Jones drama, and I'm just done giving it to people.
And then you just said there, in terms of your next opponent, you kind of mentioned Jimi Manuwa, you mentioned Johnson, but you haven't mentioned Cormier. If Cormier does lose on Saturday night, do you still feel like you've unfinished business with him?
I really don't feel like I have unfinished business with Cormier. I think I have unfinished business with Anthony Johnson. We've had quite a few fights that fell through. But Daniel Cormier, I beat him fair and square. I'm the only guy to ever beat him. And so if anyone has unfinished business, I feel like he has unfinished business with me. Well, Daniel is no greater than any other person that I've defeated. He's just so happened to be undefeated outside of myself. But to me, the guy who beat him, I look at him like he's Stephen Bonner or whoever else I've beaten in the past.
John, to go off what you kind of said there a few answers ago, you're talking about how you've changed and you've matured a lot. These are things you've kind of said in the past as well. I believe you talked a lot about this when I came and saw you in Albuquerque before 197. Why should fans really put their trust and their faith back in you again at this point after they've kind of been burned so many times in the past?
Well, I believe that trust and faith is something that should be earned. And I feel as if people don't want to believe that I've matured a lot, then they don't have to. And it's up to me to earn that trust and just through my actions. I think time will be the judge.
Yeah, and you mentioned not having unfinished business with Rumble there. You've said in the past that you viewed him as a knight with a sharp sword but no shield. Is that?
Did I say that?
Yeah, that's a.
I like that. That's good.
Is that how you still view him? I mean, it's been a little while since you gave that quote on.
Yeah, I feel like I just feel like he's a very one-dimensional fighter. Obviously, he has that wrestling base, and once a wrestler, always a wrestler. But I think he's pretty much fallen in love with his striking and his power. And I think in order to beat a guy like me, you really have to have the whole game down. Your jiu-jitsu, your takedown defense, your takedowns, the whole shebang. And I just don't feel like he's that fighter. He's extremely talented with God-given knockout power. He has a great kickboxing coach, but this sport is mixed martial arts, and I feel like I'm truly the greatest mixed martial artist who's ever walked this planet. Do I think he beats DC? I think he has a very strong chance to do it, a puncher's chance, but if I were to bet, I would put my money on Daniel Cormier just because of the last performance, and it boils right down to what I was just saying about it being, you got to have the total package to be, people at a certain level in the sport, and DC is closer to that level of having that perfect, complete game. So I think Anthony has a great chance, but if I had to bet, I would definitely go with Daniel Cormier.
Take 2 more questions for
Hey,
John.
question for John over here. How are you, John?
Great, Ariel. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Yes.
Can you go back to your first answer, if you can? You said it's sweet, not bittersweet.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Because you've talked about wanting to fight here more so than MSG. This
Yeah.
is what you always wanted. So why would it be sweet to be here and not be able to fight?
Well, it's great to not have the pressure of fighting,
Okay.
just to be here as a fan. It's very rare that I get to just come to an event and, sit there and, just enjoy the show as a fan. So it's great to be close to home. And I know that my future is very bright. I have a lot of time ahead of me. And so there'll be many more opportunities to fight in New York State. Being at Madison Square Garden would have been bittersweet because that's an absolute dream that I missed out on. But being here, it's fine. I'm cool with it. I've been thinking fighting in New York State. The taxes are what is it, like 9% or some shit?
It's high.
It's high. Yeah. So I'll definitely do it at some point for the fans, but I don't want to be a guy who's like always fighting here because of 9% on every million that's a lot of money. So.
And you also said that you feel like you were proven innocent, that you are not a cheater.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to be a stickler, but according to USADA, that was the maximum punishment that you received.
Oh, okay.
So they would say that wasn't the case.
Oh, okay.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like there's now this label on you because in the past you've always talked about no steroids, you're clean. You did an interview for the documentary, and yet they're refuting your claim. So
right. So what USADA told me was that I am guilty of not going through the proper steps to prevent the whole situation from happening. And that was the only thing I was guilty of. I had the estrogen blocker in my system. There was never any steroids ever found in my system. My testosterone levels have never fluctuated. So if someone wants to call me a steroid user, that is 1,000% false. The word steroids have never been found in my system. I was guilty of having an estrogen blocker in my system. And we found the exact pill that the estrogen blockers came from. USADA themselves tested the pills, and they found that it was a tainted supplement. These are 1,000% facts. So I don't feel like I'll be labeled as a steroid user throughout my career because, quite frankly, I've never had steroids in my system. I am guilty of having an estrogen blocker in my system, which is not performance enhancing at all. I've been like really outspoken about being against steroids. I certainly don't look like a guy who would be taking steroids. I'm not overly muscular or anything crazy like that. I'm not a guy who wins my fight because I have brutal knockout power or like this crazy strength. I actually haven't finished anyone forever, and I win my fights with wit and intelligence and skill. Not like beastly power. So.
Can I ask 2 more quick ones? Is that possible?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just curious. The last time we saw you here, sitting up here in front of the media, wasn't obviously a good day for you. You were crying. You were very emotional. Can you tell us what the difference is between this John Jones and the one from July of 2016?
The biggest difference, just more awareness. Just more awareness of, like I said, who I am and my position in the sport. I feel like I'm pretty much the same guy who was sitting there crying at that conference. Did a lot of work to get back to UFC 200. A lot of cleaning up my life and my circle, and just a lot of work. And to fall back so far because a damn sex pill, and to have people kind of assume that your life isn't together. It's like it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful that people saw me as this guy who was just fucking up. But the truth of the matter is, I've had my life pretty together for about the last 2 years. Ever since that hit and run, a lot changed in my life. And if I hadn't have taken that sex pill, right now I would be looked at as a person who, I would be the champion again. Currently, I would be right here, and I would have won that UFC 200, and people would have been already saying, wow, it's so great to see the way John changed his life around, and he's doing the right things, and he's becoming a man in front of our eyes. But instead, that one damn pill makes people think, I still don't have the belt right now. I've fought once in 2 years, and the consensus is that, I'm this guy who can't get his shit together. But I feel like my shit's been together for quite a long time, and I'm just excited to let the belt be a reflection of how I got my life back together.
Okay, and last one. Daniel said yesterday that you should be embarrassed to be here, that he would never come.
It's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
What's your response to that?
I haven't been out. I haven't been to a UFC event throughout my whole suspension. I barely tweet or Facebook or do anything on social media. So he's saying like, okay, now you finally come out and you should be hiding from people. I feel like I haven't been hiding, but I've been living my life, instead of being a professional athlete, I've just been being a father and a fiance and living my own private life. It's like you just want me to hide forever? It was some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard, really. I think he's just really upset that I'm here. And you're kind of stealing some of his spotlight, but that definitely wasn't my intention. Intention was to come here and watch two guys that I'm going to end up fighting. But yeah, he hates me. He hates me, that's safe to say. I annoy him a lot, and it definitely works to my advantage to be so deep in this guy's head.
Hey John, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Right before UFC 200, did they call you up? Did they inform you that you failed the drug test?
Yeah.
You've been talking about this damn sex pill. Did you have an inclination? Was there like any feeling at the pit of your stomach that you're like, yeah, did it even cross your mind that could have been what it was?
No. I have been in the UFC for many years, many years, and I've taken sex pills several times throughout my adult life. Highly recommend it, guys. Fucking great. Anyways, never failed a drug test. Never once failed a drug test. I just knew it couldn't have been that. I really didn't understand what it was. All my supplements have been the same throughout my career. I've been getting my supplements from the same company for like my whole career. Then I started working with GAT, and the main things I was taking with GAT was just the protein powders and like amino acids and all this type of stuff, BCAAs and stuff. Had no clue that that's what it was, but that's what it was. And there's document to prove that.
Yeah, and when you were speaking about USADA, they didn't say that you took steroids, but I think reading their sort of judgment on that case was that you were negligent in it. That you didn't take proper procedures to make sure that you were clean.
Right.
At the end of the day, did you agree with that, or do you look at this as bad luck? Do you look at it as a dumb mistake on your part, or do you think it was just kind of out of control to a certain extent?
Bad luck for sure. Like I said, that sex pill was intended for one act, and not. So it was just like, how in the hell did this happen? Definitely bad luck. Dumb on my part, because I probably should have taken the rules a lot more serious than literally had everything tested, and I just figured I just figured, this was safe because this had nothing to do with sport performance. This is sexual performance, But just dumb on my part for not taking the rules as seriously as I should have. Now I literally, I take USADA very, very seriously. I report everything that I take. I let them know everywhere I'm going to be. But at the same time, I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm just like a type of guy who knows that I can fight through any situation. Very hard to be broken and defeated. And I know with time and with a certain amount of energy, you can get past any obstacle. So I just tried to look at the whole situation as it was meant to be. It was meant to be. And that's the way I honestly feel right now. I'm happy with the way this last year has been, even though I wasn't able to compete. I've just been able to, like I said, spend time with my family, focus on my life, my mental, physical, health, spirituality, my game, preserve my body, no concussions, and, just become better. So, Darren Cormier has all these injuries, and, these guys are sparring hard and doing whatever they're doing. I've just been chilling out, taking care of myself. So I'm still the youngest guy in the division that's in the top 10. And that should be a scary thought for a lot of these guys, how preserved I am and how hungry and rejuvenated I am.
Thanks, John.
Cool. Guys, thank you so much for your interest, being here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. God bless you.